Welcome back to another video as part of our Carl video series. I'm Rob from Ahead Simulations, and today I'm going to be walking you through the recording feature that is in the Carl Pro. So looking at the screen right away here, we are in the recording screen, so be sure you click that button in the header, and these are all the options that we have while recording through Carl. A quick thing to note about making recordings through Carl in general: Carl's microphones are right at his eardrum, so he has a patient-specific ear anatomy, and instead of a coupler or anything else that may be set up in other sorts of mannequins or other recording systems, we have the full length of Carl's ear canal with a microphone placed right where the eardrum is. So this means if you are looking to make specific measurements, or you're looking at fitting a hearing aid to a hearing loss and putting it on Carl and listening to what that sounds like, anything that would affect a patient's listening and experience of the device will also affect Carl. So if that's feedback, if that's venting or whistling, any of that stuff will also apply to Carl. So be sure that the physical setup of how the device is sitting in Carl's ears and how it's fitted is all appropriate before we start working with different options inside of the Carl. I'll also note as well, all of these are options to manipulate and change how you want to record sounds from Carl. And unlike other systems, which you'll take the recording and then you can add filters and manipulate it afterwards, this screen and this functionality is guided to try to make it as accessible and straightforward as possible, so you can set up all your systems ahead of time and all of your settings ahead of time, and then once you're done recording, it will give you that WAV file already ready to go. So to step right into it, I'm going to start with a recording type of no hearing loss, taking the raw output from Carl's microphones without any ear canal transforms, without any headroom, and I'm just going to do a quick recording to show how that works. So I'm going to record for 10 seconds. I don't really care too much about the file name. I just want to record exactly what Carl is listening in this scenario right now. So when I click record, you're going to see this overlay pass up. He is listening to everything I'm saying. He's over here to my left, so of course he's going to be hearing in one ear more than the other. And as you just saw with the drop down there that came over my screen, it outputs the WAV file directly to me so that I can record, that I can manipulate that or use that however I wish. Next, we're going to get a little bit more tricky here. So we're going to use the audibility simulator. When I click that, that gives me the option to record through an audiogram. I'll go into a little bit of the details between the difference of audibility and hearing loss simulators shortly. When I click audibility simulator, you'll see the audiogram option has popped up here. And if I click on that box, you'll see all of these titles you see are audiograms that were either included in Carl to begin with, so the preloaded audiograms that we provide, or the audiograms that other users or perhaps yourself have created in Carl as well. If you're interested in seeing how to create your own audio Carls or your own audiograms so that you can record through it, be sure to check out our other video for that. Today I'm going to pick a random audiogram here, and I want to record through this. So you can see the left and the right ear on the plot, and I want to hear what this scenario would sound like through this sort of hearing loss. Now, ear canal transforms. You can see now that we have an audibility simulator, we can apply an average adult closed transform or an average adult open. This transforms Carl's specific anatomy to the exact measurements and exact transform of an average adult published in the literature. And the difference between closed or open is whether Carl's canal is open, so free field, there's no devices inside of the ear, or whether it's closed and the ear canal is occluded with some sort of device. So I'm going to keep it open right now. Finally, headroom. This would be if we're using either very high-powered hearing aids or we're in a very loud environment. So if we are using high-gain hearing aids and we're going to be providing lots of amplification, we're going to want to add some headroom to it to make sure that the recording doesn't clip. We're not too concerned about that today, so we're just going to record with a normal low headroom. Again, when I click record, you'll see it's doing the same thing. It is listening to everything that I'm saying, this time with the hearing loss being the filter. And you'll see it pops up there again. So now, getting into some details about the different recording types, the audibility simulator that we just recorded, all this does, it's a very simplified version, but we found it to be very useful in our testing and research. All it does is it looks at all of these thresholds on the left and the right ear, and it makes a decision based on if the sound inside of this environment and inside of this recording is either in the limits of hearing for this hearing loss or is outside the limits of hearing for this hearing loss. And so if there was, for example, a bunch of sounds at 2000 hertz around 20 dBHL, it's going to get filtered out. And so this is a much more simplified way to represent hearing loss. That's why we also provided a hearing loss simulator. This is the more validated model. This is the Brian Moore model and the Clarity Challenge model. And this takes into account smearing and takes into account how your brain processes sound to try to give a little bit better of a representation of what people with hearing loss may sound. Now, when you listen to the difference in recordings between the audibility simulator and the hearing loss simulator, you'll see there's a decent amount of change between the two. And we found that depending on your use case and depending how you wanted to use these recordings, one of them may be better suited than the other. A good example is we made some recordings of what a child's hearing loss may sound like so that we could provide those recordings to the parent to give a perspective of what their child would be hearing. Now, when we use the hearing loss simulator, this made the child's hearing sound very, very scary, and we were nervous that it would actually have an adverse effect and it would deteriorate the willingness for the parent to really take action, and it would be so scary that it wouldn't be helpful. The audibility simulator, because it's much more straightforward and it doesn't apply additional processing, it was much more understandable, and it could allow the patient or the parent to understand the hearing loss much better and how hearing aids can help. So there's a million different scenarios out there, and we would definitely recommend you to try a bunch of different options inside of this recording tool. And remember, it is meant to be an open tool, so we do provide these options so that you can really customize it and use it how you wish. We're always open to other suggestions as well, so if there's any settings here that you wish this really had, please feel free to reach out to us. If you're interested in any other functionality of the Carl Pro, check out our other videos, and feel free to reach out to a member of our team as well if that would be helpful.